It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Coming at y'all live, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Terry Brown, Vinny Hardy, Cats Talk Wednesday. BS3 Network, BS3Network.com. What's happening, TB?
Man, a lot going on. We could actually cover all those things in our intro today. From Ohtani getting millions to the inaugural NBA tournament champions to there's another team atop the NFC East. So there you go.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
I got in-season tournament questions since you've been a Laker fan and all, and y'all won that and whatnot. Let me just go and get that out the way because we got a full slate. You got us two big-time guests that are coming. Being the Lakers fan that you are, there are only a handful of titles that didn't happen in your lifetime, right? You saw how many of them?
I remember 8, but I've been alive for 10.
10 out of 17?
Out of 17, yeah.
So well over half. Safe to say that if they become a poverty franchise from now on, you're good. You're fine. You're more than okay.
Yeah.
You never, need to see them, hang another banner. But since we're on the banner subject, how you feeling, about this in-season banner and all that?
At first I said, don't do it because we have a standard, right?
Yes.
It's only championship banners that go up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I read a story, I can't remember who it was now, talking about he was talking to Jenny Buss in her office, and she was basically using the 2009 Western Conference Finals trophy as a doorstop in her office with the 10 or 11 championship trophies in her office overlooking the practice thing. So at first I was like, yeah, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I think this is what I think happened. I think Adam Silver and the NBA was like, y'all got to do something. Like they the NBA wants this to be a thing, and how would it be a thing if the first team that wins it doesn't do anything?
Mm.
That's just my thing. Like, y'all can't blow this off.
Mm.
I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory. That's my thought. Because look, I'm looking at NBA Twitter, people like, well, the Lakers trying to do this because they won something. Are you kidding me? We got 17 banners. Ain't nobody got more. We don't need to do anything to pretend that we won something. We don't need to pretend.
Uh-huh.
That's what's killing me is like, look, anybody else puts it up, I got jokes. If the Clippers put up, yeah, I got jokes. But I'm like, yeah, why not? I think the NBA was like, look, man, y'all can't just, we're trying to make this a thing.
Uh-huh.
And y'all can't be treating this like anything else.
Interesting.
Because no division banners, no Western Conference champion banners, none of that stuff except the 17 championship banners and the retired jerseys, which you have to be in the Hall of Fame for.
Okay. So, wow, no. Who's a just not quite Hall of Fame Laker?
I'm trying to think. I think for an ordinary franchise, Byron Scott would be up there. Michael Cooper would be up there. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Some of those guys, even I think a Derek Fisher, to be honest with you, if any other franchise, right, I think he would be up there to be honored. But that's the barrier to get in.
Wow. Gotcha.
I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
And no, they didn't even argue. There ain't even Lakers fans that's arguing that. Like, we've been fussing for Jimmy Johnson to be in the Ring of Honor. Lakers don't even bother with Byron Scott needs to be there because they already know what.
That's the guideline is you got to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame to be up there.
That is what it is.
That was how Powell got in. He's a Basketball Hall of Famer. Also, great player and all that, but that's the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I had to hit that, man. I had to get your thoughts. I knew you'd have thoughts, and
look, I didn't pay no attention to it. I've been on the record. I don't know the rules. I just looked up and they were like, "Oh, Lakers in the Final Four. Okay, cool. Who's it? Phoenix? All right, took care of Phoenix. We got to play Indiana. All righty. I watch it. Anthony Davis balled out.
He did.
Balled out.
Yes, he did.
And we need to see it all the time, AD. You give us about 7 or 8 of those come June. Oh, baby, we're going to hang up another real banner, if you will. But that's just my 2 cents. I just the NBA is like, you got to do something, man.
Well, Mr. Silver gave Jeannie a call.
Like, you got to do something. We try to make this a thing, and we know y'all ain't really going to make this. Like, put it up there. But my understanding is it's going to be dramatically different. Like, it is not going up in the same area as the other ones. Is my understanding. So
okay, that's how they'll distinguish.
Yeah, man.
So my only thing, I already said it. Great. Glad a lot of people liked it. LeBron even was invested and felt obligated to pass this on to the guys coming after him, and he felt it was his duty to be all in. Cool. And look, traditions aren't made overnight. This is not going to be just ingrained in our consciousness after one time. It's going to take a while. But just keep. Yeah, they did. The Lakers had to win 7 games, whatever. If I'm correct, to win this, had to go. And some teams, I guess, had to make it. There was group play and all this stuff that you see in the World Cup.
All that. I really was like, I'm not paying attention to this.
Keep the same energy for the All-Star game. That's all I'm saying. If y'all can do this for 7 games for this tournament, just one Sunday and All-Star weekend, just keep that same energy.
Put some money on the line, and then you'll see it. Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all we wanted was a good All-Star game, because we might have been the last 2 that were like, okay, we can't defend this. And we tried like our hardest. And we was like, okay, all right, this is a joke for 3.5 quarters, unless it's close at the end. So just do that for the All-Star game. Give us that same East-West or pick team. However you do it, just ball like they used to in the All-Star game.
And there's a thing too, we got a lot of young kids on NBA Twitter. I saw something where somebody was like, well, Michael Jordan wouldn't have taken it this serious. I'm like, what about Michael Jordan have you heard or seen or witnessed? Like the dude that would gamble on whose luggage would come off the plane first. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He took things like, did you not watch The Last Dance? Like, did you not? Like, yes. For a few days in Vegas and 500,000, yes. Jordan would have been throwing bows on like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is what it is. I'm glad the Lakers won. They look good doing it. Hopefully it can translate to something. I know we lost the other night to Dallas, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I didn't pay attention to all the group stuff. That ain't my thing. I'm like, did the Lakers win? Okay. I mean, I watched the games. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not trying to. Well, they need more points than that. When I started hearing that, I was like, I'm checked out. There's too much. I already know about the tiebreakers in the NFL. And I know about how Major League Baseball playoffs work. I don't need any. I don't need that, right?
Yeah.
But ain't no down. There's no Lakers fans like, oh man, this is awesome. This is not rivaling Magic's baby hook in Boston, or the 3-peat with Jacobi, or even the bubble champion. Like, no, man, it was great. They won it. Cool. But it's December. And honestly, I don't even pay attention close to the All-Star game. I got to worry about football. Which we got to talk about.
We do.
Because it looks like we on another crash course, man. But we got guests.
Yeah. Yes. Tell us who we got, man. I don't see anybody in the green room yet, but they're coming.
Well, we
both
got
of them.
Adam Jacobi, who covers Iowa for Go Iowa Awesome. Iowa's kind of become the epicenter of everything, man. Like from the football team winning despite the worst offense you might ever see, to, of course, Caitlin Clark doing her thing for Iowa women's basketball. There's a lot going on. We might have to give some props to Iowa State because my QB, Brock Purdy, Iowa State, Tyrese Halliburton playing at Indiana, put on the show, introduced himself, also Iowa State. And I'm like, well, that's wild. I never would have seen that happen.
Yeah.
So Adam's going to come on, talk with us a little bit about that. And then later on, we've got friend of the show, Carrie Lewis is coming on later on. We're going to talk a little bit of football, a little bit of bowl games and everything like that. Oh, Adam just let me know he's got a little bit of technical difficulty. That's okay. Friend of the show. We're going to keep it going. But
let me check those settings and make sure there's nothing on our end. Make sure I can.
But I figured we chit chat a little bit about about football. I know you're excited about football.
Yeah, it was nice to get even with the Eagles, kind of pick up where y'all left off, and y'all went over there to Philly and put it on them, and we needed help because we were 2 games back, and 49ers obliged, so we were 1 game back heading into Sunday, and now we got the same record after Sunday, this past Sunday, because they came to AT&T Stadium and got beat down again.
Man,
Big Dom couldn't do nothing. He wasn't there to mix stuff up and try to fight our players like he was with y'all. So
I think I texted you, man, like, if it holds, 49ers 1, Dallas 2, hey, they meet in that NFC Championship game. That thing's doing numbers, because I want to say last year's playoff matchup was the most viewed matchup of anything leading up to the Super Bowl. Hey, that's going to do numbers, man.
Yeah. So,
I mean, the Cowboys and NFC Championship game. I might get a high top fade, get my Gumby going. Go take it back. The NFC Championship game. Get me a cross color shirt with a cassette tape.
Because that's what was going on last time we was there.
Get the VCR out.
Yeah,
it's gonna be exciting. I'm happy for y'all.
Exactly.
I'm happy for y'all.
We appreciate that. We appreciate it. It's good to get a little payback on them because we should have beat them up there and we didn't, and they hadn't really beat a good team. We saw what happened when we played the Niners. Got blown out. So you beat a good team. Got Buffalo, that's going to be a little bit tough. Our schedule a little tougher than theirs down the stretch, so it's going to be. Hopefully, we can win that NFC. We got Miami. They got like the Cardinals, and Seattle maybe can get them because they got to go out there. But they got a little Commanders, just like they got a little cake final stretch. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we've got Arizona on Sunday, and then we've got am I out? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. It lagged a little bit, but it's back now. And got a guest in the green room too. The first guest.
All right, we got main man Adam Jacobi.
Yeah, I can bring him in right now. He is Mr. Jacobi, publisher, Go Iowa Awesome. Look there.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Fancy, man.
Yeah,
good to see you, Adam.
Yeah.
Always great to see you guys. How we doing today? You staying warm?
That's not the case. We in the same spot here, man. Semi dog looking at me like, why don't you go outside?
You're just used to it, right, Aaron? I mean, born and raised, it's just is what it is. It's nothing to you, man.
It's you would think I would get used to it after 42 years. Never do. That like every December, I'm like, Why is it cold? I know the answer, right? It's the same answer every December. And yet, like, was it snow? Yeah, it's always snow, Adam. Every December. Come on.
And the wind cuts through you the same as it does non-Iowans like myself and Terry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like there's nothing between us and Canada except for Bismarck and some cows, right? So like all that cold air, there's nothing to stop it. And look, you can live up here all you want, and I believe Terry's on month 18 or so of living up here, but you never really get used to it, right? There's only so much you can do to like even Eskimos freeze to death if you leave them out long enough, right? Like there's only so much you can inure yourself to the cold.
But Adam, we thank you so much for joining us, because Iowa's becoming the epicenter of a lot of stuff. I know we don't like to give props to Iowa State, but between Brock Purdy and Tyrese Halliburton, giving the Cyclones a little something to cheer about, other than being little brother to the Hawkeyes.
Doesn't take anything off my plate if they do well, right? Like,
and then, of course, Caitlin Clark's doing her thing, and Iowa football getting to 10 wins despite an offense that you and I could probably draw up.
I don't. Oh, Terry, I'll say this about the offense, and I mean this sincerely. Brian Ferentz, obviously deeply unpopular as offensive coordinators go, and was officially let go of his duties as offensive coordinator in the middle of the season during the bye week, which is a little rough to get, fired on your day off. But it was effective at the end of the season, right? So he's still around, and this is his. So the bowl game is going to be his one last opportunity to make a big college football size splash, to throw the ball downfield. Our understanding is Tennessee is missing approximately 7 defensive backs and a pass rusher. So if there were ever a time for Iowa's passing offense to exist, here it is.
So what's the word on the street? Who are they thinking about bringing in to replace Junior Ferentz?
Well, some people would say, don't ask me that, because we had gotten a little bit of intel that Kirk had spoken to former Nebraska head coach, former UCF head coach, and former Oregon offensive coordinator Scott Frost. And boy, when you know how to run the Oregon offense, obviously there's going to be a lot of interest, even though what we've understood from and about Scott Frost is he's not really head coach material, or at a minimum, he wasn't there in Lincoln. Maybe getting fired is going to end up being good for him. Now, I will say this: there are people who are also connected and who have other sources that we have now, and we had heard about Frost from multiple people, but there's been a pretty substantial pushback on that from Iowa City. So my read of the situation, as we've gotten it, is there was almost certainly a conversation between Frost and Ferentz recently. Frost is somebody who needs an OC job. Ferentz is someone who needs an OC. So obviously you start to put that 2 and 2 together. But it sounds like he's not a serious candidate and probably never was. And if anything, it sounds like the characterization of that being an interview for the job, which is, the language that we had been given, sounds like it was probably more of a stretch than that actually was, especially from the people on Iowa City's end. So it doesn't sound like Frost is an actual strong candidate. And we've been hearing names like Paul Christ, the former Wisconsin head coach who got fired for Luke Fickell. And, you want to talk about, an offense that is reliable. Christ's didn't light anybody on fire. We understand that. And a lot of people think that Wisconsin's offense is sort of that, 3 yards cloud of dust, 4 yards cloud of dust sort of thing. People, it was sort of popular to believe that was more of a 20th century offense, and that Wisconsin was sort of doing the right thing by Canning Crisp and going air raid like they were doing with Fickle. And to be fair, it's only been 1 year in Madison, but that 1 year has not worked out well for the Badgers. So either they are looking at a multi-year personnel change and, keeping their fingers crossed that it's going to work out for them, or this was a little bit of a misstep and it was a little bit of a miscalculation in terms of trying to read the way college football is adapting and changing, et cetera. At some point, it almost doesn't matter what the X's and O's are. You just have to have the Rexes and Joes, for lack of a better term, and just go out there and execute. And Wisconsin's not quite there yet, and all the sexiness about the spread and shred and all that hasn't really come to fruition there yet. So I don't really expect to see Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, of all people, go ahead and go that route, because he has said publicly he's got a little bit of disdain for that spread stuff. It doesn't click with him from a philosophical standpoint and a what are your program values going to be. Now, how a spread offense can be a program core value, I don't know. But I'm also not the one making $6-7 million a year to be a head coach. So,
well, Bobby Petrino's off the market.
I don't think that conversation between Bobby and Kirk would have lasted very long. I'll just say that now.
What?
That's got to be the most insane thing. Anytime you think college football has gone too far, that guy keeps popping up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No consequences. I mean, temporary consequences. We'll put it that way. There's no permanent consequences in college football, though. There's just not.
Right. And so, Vinny, I think we might have talked about this the one time Adam was on before. Adam had us over for chili. And my wife, not into college football at all, right? Kind of, whatever. But Adam and I brought her all the way through Bobby Petrino. And at one point, she was like, that's crazy. And we had just gotten, I don't even think we had gotten to Arkansas yet.
Nope. Oh, no. She was freaking out about the opening acts.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no, it gets way, and wow. So,
yeah.
So this stuff with Ferentz, the whole saga with, father and son, to everybody not named Kurt and Brian, was this the most predictable thing ever? I mean, did all y'all see this plan out like it did? Or is there actually people surprised that it didn't work out and he had to get dismissed?
Well, it's tough to say because Iowa's offense was also completely derailed really by week 1 by injuries. Cade McNamara, who was a highly touted transfer that they brought in from Michigan, McNamara had lost his job to J.J. McCarthy. Also had some leg problems developing, but he had guided Michigan to a Big Ten championship over Iowa, as a matter of fact, in 2021, had guided them to, the postseason. So clearly a lot of faith in his production, in his ability to lead a team, lead an offense, et cetera. And by all accounts, smart guy, but he did not come into camp with his legs 100%. He had surgery on at least one of his ACLs in the previous November. And so we're only talking about 7-8 months, which, it's enough to get you on the field. It's probably not enough to get you back to 100% as serious arthro surgery procedures go. And Iowa did not really have that. Vinny, you'll be shocked to hear this. Iowa did not have the amount of talent around McNamara that Michigan did.
Wow.
Shocker. Yeah.
Man.
And so McNamara is basically playing on 1.5 good legs to start the year, to start summer camp. Barely gets cleared to, be practicing 11 on 11 because he hadn't been able to do that during the spring and early summer. He was still, recuperating from the knee injuries. So 2 weeks before the season starts, they do this open practice, scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, at Kinnick Stadium. They call it Kids Day. They tie it in with the Children's Hospital. There's fundraising going on. It's a well-produced event and gives fans an opportunity to see these players in the spring. It's Iowa's version of a spring game, except it's a lot different and they don't keep score. most teams don't these days.
Mm-hmm.
So during that game, McNamara takes off, and he's already got one of those no contact jerseys on, but he takes off on a draw out of the pocket. He scrambles, plants his foot wrong, and tears his quad. Down on the ground, so it's Kids Day. It's supposed to be an exhibition, a scrimmage, right? Like, this is supposed to be the most low-stakes time this football team is ever going to be at Kinnick Stadium. Quarterback blows out his quad. Well, I shouldn't say blows out, but injures his quad, and 2 weeks before the season has to rehab a strained quad and still be the starting quarterback. And again, we're talking about a guy who did not have much of an offseason to even practice with these receivers to begin with. It did not really work out great for the Iowa offense. And also the Joe Labus, who you guys recognize from the bowl game, he had started there and had guided Iowa to one whole offensive touchdown. He had been hurt for that same time too. So this first year transfer out of Wisconsin, who Iowa had plucked away from Fordham, he had been planning to be the quarterback at Fordham, FCS, and was pretty well convinced that he wasn't going to be a D1 QB again. Iowa picks him up because he can throw. A guy named Deacon Hill. But he really hadn't played since I think they've said 2019 or 2020. But even then, like that post-COVID thing, he was just on a team with a bunch of strangers, like they're wildcatting their way. Kentucky term. But like they weren't affiliated with a school. They're just playing their way up and down California because they just want to play and want to get to college. That was the most meaningful football he had played in 4 years. And so when Iowa announced him as a transfer to come in, everyone's like, yeah, okay. Right? Like, okay, he's 6'3", he's listed at 258. And like Terry, you know me. I'm 245 pounds. You put me next to Deacon Hill, you don't think, oh yeah, that guy's 13 pounds heavier. You're like, oh, that guy is. So right. He's an unorthodox physically quarterback, and no one really expected him to be contributing, much less starting on this team. And if he were going to start, everyone would have assumed rightly that something had gone very wrong and that it portended doom for the Iowa season. And that was a reasonable thing to think back in August and September. Well, he goes in there. Offense, sure enough, is rough. And yet they just find ways to keep winning. It's a tremendous coaching job, except nobody in Iowa City is happy about it because the team keeps scoring 17, 13, 12, 15. Like the scoreboard can barely hold a quinceañera most days, right? It's bleak out there. But wins are wins, aren't they? Like at the end of the day, you want to be 10-2 with 15 points a game more than you want to be 2-10 with 40 points a game, you would think. So it's been a weird season in Iowa City. And it's also tough because Iowa had brought in not only McNamara, but Eric All from Michigan, who had started to turn in a star performance at tight end. He gets injured. Luke Lachey, potential All-American at tight end, another guy that you guys probably remember from the Music City Bowl. He's injured, out for the year, week 4 or so. Wide receiver they bring in from Ohio State. Well, he's a true freshman, or a redshirt freshman, had played running back in high school. And so everybody started to think, oh, Ohio State receiver, he's going to come in and be the best player. He needs time to develop too. And so all of these things that got people excited about football in Iowa City. I'm not going to say it was being sold a bill of goods because there was nothing dishonest about anything that we had heard about these players coming in, but none of it really came to fruition. Offense tanked as soon as McNamara got hurt. Started to creep back a little bit once Deacon Hill, once the game started to slow down for him a little bit. But I mean, if you watch that Iowa-Michigan game, it was, it was a movable force against an immovable object, right? It was just Iowa's offense was never going to score against that defense. It's never going to score. So a lot to figure out, a lot to fix. Predictable, probably. Not a whole lot of people thought this was going to succeed. The way in which it failed was entirely unpredictable. Nobody predicts 5 season-ending injuries to starter-level players, right? No, it would be ridiculous to predict that.
Right.
So unusual and a lot of stress caused for everybody in Iowa City by all that. But if you're going to get fired, you might as well have the team win 10 games that year on your way out. Better than them going 2-10, I suppose.
Yeah.
So there's your answer.
Now, switching gears a little bit, because you cover everything, going from a team that can't score to someone who just joined a 3,000-point club. I've been keeping up with your travels and the traveling. I don't want to say circus because that means that there's foolishness going on, but the one woman show that is, and that's probably not fair to the rest of the team, but we're talking about Caitlin Clark, who is hawking State Farm, who is Gatorade, who is literally all over the place. Yeah, Vinny,
Nike, right?
Yeah, she's Nike. Like, she's everything. She's all over the place. And we like Gatorade. So, when you're thirsty, drink some Gatorade. So covering Caitlin as she's on this march to rewrite the record books, how has that been?
It's been a lot of fun. It's very helpful that Caitlin Clark understands the spotlight that she's in, relishes it, thrives in it, because most people wouldn't. Most people are not built for having that level of attention all the time, everywhere they go. And the people that are, very, very few of them play women's college basketball. And that's not a knock on women's college basketball. I've been a fan for decades. But it does not suit itself to that level of superstardom very often. Brianna Stewart's one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. How much has the spotlight really been on her? Not as much. And again, like at UConn, one of the greatest college players ever. And she's got the hardware, the rings to show for it, right? Mm-hmm. Brianna Stewart is like the gold standard of how your college career can go. Caitlin Clark's spotlight is brighter. And I'm not saying that to take anything away from Brianna, but it's now that we're in this NIL, now that Caitlin can be in ads, now that she can be wearing, reverse Grinch Kobe's on the court. And now that all the signs, and I'm not leaking intel here, but this is just a little bit of deduction, but if Nike's on her from here, especially with how bright her star has stayed, they want to be producing Caitlin 1s at some point. Caitlin 2s, Caitlin 3s.
Yeah.
So that is a level of fame that most women's basketball players at any level, at any talent, have never really had to contend with. And the fact that Clark is basically blazing her own trail in terms of what superstardom in an NIL women's college basketball world looks like. And like you said, Terry, 3,000 career points. She is the undeniable epicenter of women's college basketball, and you could make the argument for college basketball.
Well, and that's the thing is, I'm sitting here racking my brain. When on the men's side do we have somebody like that?
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Because Kentucky's had good teams. Mm-hmm. Maybe John Wall, Vinny. Maybe John Wall was that dude. But I can't remember having one person that was must see, right? Like maybe Jimmer Fredette when he was on his heater. Like she's in rarefied air, men's or women's.
She's like this generation's Cheryl Swoops. I mean, Cheryl had her shoes and she was what? She did her thing for Texas Tech, and won it. And now Caitlin is doing that in the NIL era, and Nike's on board, and they already, like you said, are seeing the vision for her brand. Like you said, Caitlin 1s, Caitlin 2s. They already know. So they already getting their ducks in a row For all that, Phil Knight getting his ducks in a row, get it?
Mhm.
And she's doing it in Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She didn't have to go to UConn to do this, or Tennessee, or Stanford, or LSU, if you want to, Anyway, she's doing it at home.
Yeah. And that was really important to her to stay home. And it was fortunate that there was a coach like Lisa Bluter right there in Iowa City that understood the challenge in front of her with a competitor like Caitlin Clark. And somebody like that, when you're recruiting them and they're still only 13, 14, 15 years old, Terry, acutely how competitive teenagers can be, especially as their athletic careers are beginning, as they're starting to understand the breadth of their talent, and as they're starting to encounter these frustrations that athletes encounter on a pretty well daily basis. And, some of the frustration is inward, some of it's outward, but it has to be corralled. Otherwise, it's just going to derail the whole thing. And how many times have we seen really talented players just become head cases? And a big part of that is because their coaches don't really know how to manage those high expectations that these elite competitors not only put on themselves, but on their coaches and on their teammates. And that's, even at Iowa, has not been a completely clean process for Caitlin, but by and large, the coaching staff at Iowa, in this intensely family-oriented, it's all about the program, it's all about us, every member is important, et cetera, et cetera. They've been able to sort of sand those edges down. They're explicitly, like they've even said, it's not about turning Caitlin into somebody else. It's not about, dimming her light, throwing any water on her competitive fire or anything like that. It's about channeling it into like the most productive way possible. And obviously the results have been incredible. And the fact that Caitlin is able to, sort of grow as a competitor, mature as a person, and become this incredible, I guess for lack of a better term, ambassador for women's college basketball. And they've really needed that there. It's great what UConn has done, and before that, Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, et cetera, et cetera. Don Staley's been incredible. It's not as if there haven't been ambassadors. Don Staley's amazing. Kim Mulkey has a job at LSU. Stanford's amazing, right? But there does need to be sort of this like galvanizing, like high center of gravity. Iowa turned out to be the perfect place for it. The state has women's basketball and girls basketball sort of woven into it, and women's athletics in general got an earlier start in Iowa than it did around most of the nation. Not all the nation. We're not number one, but close to the medal stand, right? And so she was able to walk into this fan base that was ready for her too. And some of it also had to do with the fact that Megan Gustafson had just been in Iowa City. We're talking about an AP Player of the Year there too. Monica Zanano ended up being a NBA draft or WNBA draft pick too. Like there were reasons for Iowa fans to already be excited about these players. There were reasons for them to be showing up to Carver Hawkeye Arena even when there wasn't a Caitlin Clark.
Right.
But now there is. She's the exponent. Right. She's not a needle mover. Caitlin Clark is the needle. And so when people say, oh, well, I don't know if she wants to go to the Indiana Fever in the WNBA because it's a small market. No, it's Caitlin's market. Right. It doesn't matter if it's Indiana or if it's Boise, Idaho, or she probably doesn't want to play in Reno, but she probably deserves a little bit better of a market than that. But she would be going to a place and make that the epicenter of the league. And that is just the star power that she carries. It might not be fair to the rest of the league to say that, granted, but fair doesn't really have a whole lot to do with needle moving, ratings, money, Nike, right? They've identified her because she's there, and she rewards fans with big performances every time she's on national TV. It's honestly incredible, the fact that she just does not have stinkers on national TV, or hasn't yet.
And that's remarkable, right?
Yeah.
Just, she kept getting better in the tournament last year.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous.
It's the only reason why ratings were so sky high for that Iowa LSU game. It's because they were already really high for that South Carolina game, but the people that were watching expected, and we're including Las Vegas. I just want to be clear about that. The people that were watching expected that to be about a 10, 15, 20 point South Carolina win, and no one would have batted an eye. They would have said, look, Caitlin's great. Talent overwhelmed them. Iowa wins that game. Caitlin goes bananas. And all of a sudden, all those millions of people, some of whom are just watching women's ball for the first time, are like, it's different here. She's a 1-on-1. That's all they needed. And you could say the same thing about the Iowa-Indiana game. Terry, the Iowa-Michigan game was nationally televised, the one that we went to, the one where they ended up cutting down the nets, which we didn't expect when we bought those tickets, I assure you. Right? And all of that, like, performance, all of that production on these stages, every time she gets the opportunity, knowing that everybody's gunning for her, everybody, it rewards fans in a way that most college athletes at any sport, any level, don't really do. Right? They're always going to have stinkers against tough, like, top competition.
It happens.
Caitlin just, like, hasn't yet. It's amazing.
Well, we're going to backtrack just a little bit, Adam. We got our another guest on, Carrie Lewis, who I do round of shots with on Sunday. But she has been fascinated by the whole Kirk Ferentz, Brian Ferentz thing. And I told her I was going to have you on, so we've got her backstage. So, Vinny, go ahead and bring Carrie Lewis on, Girls, Beers, Sports. Adam, Carrie, Adam. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, happy SEC 2024 football schedule release day,
I'm
y'all.
I'm retweeting every one of our matchups. That's how we do.
But Adam, Carrie watches more football than anyone I know. She watches Maction. She was Pac-12 After Dark before it was a thing.
Oh, you're a sicko then. Okay.
She will tell you who won the CAAA. She was on the James Madison bandwagon early. So I figured we'd all talk a little bit about the CFP.
Mm-hmm.
Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? What's it going to look like next year? If we can jump into that. So, Carrie, your thoughts on the 4 teams playing in the CFP?
So, I mean, but people, some people are going to like what I have to say, and a lot of people probably aren't. I mean, it just depends on where you fall, right? I am actually perfectly happy. I was super worried that an SEC team wasn't going to get in. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So I'm good with it. Now, did Florida State get the shaft? Yes and no. Okay, let me tell you. Because if you look at the CFP committee's criteria, it specifically states in black and white in their criteria that they can take into consideration if a player has been hurt. Now, have they filed their criteria in the past? No, but it's there. It's there. So, it totally wasn't off base to leave Florida State out, right? I also think TV ratings, TV money played a huge part in that, right? Because, while I was on the Hypnotones bandwagon all last year, I loved me some TCU, right? I love what they did on the field. Now, they did beat Michigan, but that final game was abysmal. Like, how many people turned that off because TCU just got destroyed? And you got to think, right? See? Like, I didn't, but, you got to think of the fact that ESPN does not want people tuning out of that, they wouldn't want people tuning out if Michigan did to Florida State what they did to Iowa, right? I mean, that's just facts. You got to have eyeballs on those games. You have to. And, Alabama, Michigan is probably going to be a better game than Florida State Michigan would have been. So yeah, I think Florida State did get the shaft a little bit. They did what they were supposed to do. They won all their games. But the ACC is also kind of a weak conference. So that's kind of my take on it.
Sometimes it be like that. What do you think, Mr. Adam, on the CFP and Florida State? And we're not even really talking about Texas and Washington. They're kind of on the back burner. Is Texas back?
I hope Texas is back, because honestly, it's a little depressing when they're not. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Texas homer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's, it creates a void, I would say, when the Blue Bloods are not good at the sport that they're supposed to be good at. The Big Ten was worse when Michigan and Ohio State, well, Ohio State has been good for a while, but like when Michigan was on its downturn, it made the Big Ten worse. And a big part of why it was just worse is that the Blue Bloods have a way of, what's a good way to put this? Let me put it this way. The non-Blue Bloods cannot fill that vacuum by themselves. They don't have the, I guess, for lack of a better term, I mean this sort of metaphorically, but they don't have the production value, right? It's like going from MTV to VH1. It's going from Transformers to GoBots. It's just not as entertaining if I got to watch Michigan State try to go, win 9-10 games in the Big Ten than if it's Michigan. That all said, Carrie, every single point that you made about the committee's criteria, absolutely correct. And so I'm not arguing with you when I say these things. I think philosophically those rules shouldn't be in place. I think, at some level, and this is just me, it's personal opinion, on some level, it has to be about earning your way into a postseason. And if it makes for worse TV, then fine. But, you do have to balance TV, money, what's going to be the good game. You're trying to avoid blowouts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it does have to be legitimate. And it's tough I'm not saying it's impossible, but if I'm an FSU fan, I am ticked smooth off by 13-0 and no ticket to the dance, because what else do you want them to do other than what? I mean, you can't hide the injury that Travis Hunter had, obviously, but it incentivizes teams to not disclose damaging information at that point, which is a tough road to go down. And it might also just be the end of the ACC. You mentioned it's a weak conference, and you're right, especially with Clemson, right? That's, boy, you want to talk about how a conference just degrades in quality when its best teams aren't playing their best. Clemson and the ACC, right there. Louisville, same deal, right? I would rather. I don't like Clemson. I would rather have Clemson good than Louisville. I mean, look at the damage that happened to the ACC when they basically set it up for Miami and Florida State to play in the conference championship for decades, and for decades it never happened. Like that, it damages the brand. And the SEC doesn't really have to worry about that because there's so many great programs that can fill as much space as a blue blood fills. I mean, gosh, even Auburn would be about the second highest profile program in the Big Ten. Yeah. They're not even the second highest profile in the SEC West. Probably
That's
not.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So different scales of things. And if all this means is the ACC is going to evaporate, FSU gets their choice between the SEC and Big Ten, which it sort of sounds like that's the way college sports is going in general. Fine. Right. I am not losing any sleep over the demolition of the ACC. I'm just not. And to that end, I'm not really crying all that much about FSU missing the postseason either, because ultimately, I mean, yeah, it stinks for them. Yeah, the NCAA does have it on paper This is what we're considering. And I think that they followed what they've told us they were going to consider. I think they followed that pretty well. I just wish, based on my own sort of things, like I wish you had to earn your way in. And it doesn't sort of feel like that right now. And that's
here's my 2 cents. College football's always been like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always been about votes. It's always like, this is just what it is. And we're trying to make sense out of a system that wasn't meant to make sense.
Yeah.
You know,
because somebody ran the numbers for the BCS and how that would have played out, and Texas would have got left out, right? So somebody's getting left out.
Right. It just was never meant to make sense. We're all old enough to remember number 1 Miami playing number 3 Nebraska in the Orange Bowl and number 2 Washington in the Rose Bowl. And like, it was never supposed to make sense. You know, they used to vote before the bowl games. Yeah. It just is what it is. They change it for whatever, for TV. It's all about money.
Of course it is.
I don't think that's revelatory or anything like that. It is all about money, which is why Kentucky and Indiana plays here in Des Moines in the tournament the year after they stopped playing their home-and-home basketball series. Like, crowning a champion is like number 2 or 3 on the list of what they're trying to do in the NCAA.
Yep.
It's a TV product, and if they get a champion, great, fine, whatever. But that just keep it moving.
Well, and the NCAA doesn't even have any control over the CFP.
But that's right.
That's a whole other thing, right? I mean, they got their little basketball tournament, and that's about the last vestiges of anything they got to hold on to right now. But, you know, they have nothing to do with the college football playoff.
Or the bowls, because you remember when the BCS was coming in, like the Rose Bowl didn't want to participate at all. Like, they wanted to still be the Rose Bowl, you know, anyway.
And I would also like to point out one more thing. The ACC had the chance to vote to go to a 12-team playoff, I believe, this year, and they declined. So they said no.
Like I said, I'm not losing any sleep for that conference. This is a bet that they sort of made for themselves, and look, is what it is. But that's a tough thing. If I'm an FSU fan, that's a tough pill to swallow. 13-0, and it's like, should a team get dinged because their starting QB got injured? I mean, from a competitive standpoint, from a fairness standpoint, probably not. From a TV standpoint, probably. So I mean, I don't think there's an easy answer to this. I don't think there's a clean thing that they just missed. I don't think so. Terry, if I can sort of hijack the conversation a little bit for one of my pet theories, I believe, and I understand why this can't happen, but my theory is there is no good number of playoff teams, because the number of playoff teams that really should play for a championship, which is what this is all about. Like, ultimately, you want somebody up there to be your champion. I think the number of teams that have earned that varies every year. So what I would like, and again, I understand this can't happen, but what would be the most fun to me is when they do this little selection show every week, not only are they going, 1 through 25, but they also announce how many teams are in the playoff. So they can say, look, if the playoff started now after week 9, we think it would be a 5-team playoff. We think number 5 FSU would be in, but number 6, who ended up being number 6?
Oregon,
yeah, but Oregon wouldn't. That would be fun. That would make a whole lot of people less angry than where we are here. Logistically, I get it. Impossible. You're all about people love chaos in college football. College football is the most chaotic sport in America. Yes. I will stand on that one. And so, lean into it. Embrace the chaos. If there are 3 playoff-worthy teams, say it. Right? Don't waste my time with number 4 then. Don't bring TCU in if they don't belong there. If they're going to end up, getting throttled by 58 or whatever it ended up being by the Dogs, right? Don't waste my time with that. But if we have a situation where FSU's out because they're number 5, but gosh, they're basically like 4.5. Bring them on in too. Make FSU like. What if there was a play-in game between FSU and Alabama? You telling me you wouldn't want to watch that? You're telling me you wouldn't relish Nick Saban hanging 55 on the Knolls to like remove all doubt that
Like,
it's really Bama that belongs in there?
FSU is currently constructed with Jordan Travis out, a play-in game.
Yeah. It'd be nasty.
Jeez.
But that would be appointment television, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be.
That's again, I know it can't happen. Like logistically impossible. But that is, I think spiritually, that's sort of the end goal of what all this madness is. And I would like to see.
He says spiritually.
We're getting deep and philosophical. So, Carrie Lewis, who do you think is going to win of the 4 teams that we've got? Who do you think is going to win?
Alabama. I never bet against Saban, ever. I'm sorry. People were throwing dirt on him at the beginning of the season, week 2 or week 3. Never go against the devil, man. I'm telling you. Never go against Satan, ever.
I call Alabama like the Michael Myers. Show me a body. It's like at the end of the first Halloween, he's been shot, he falls down. They're like, there's no body. Okay, I'm not believing that Alabama's day is over. They were dead in the water losing to Texas.
Georgia came out and ran down the field on them, and then that was it. I mean, that was basically it. They tightened up, and that was it. Now people wanted that questionable call, the catch or whatever. But I thought it was a catch, but I don't think it would have made a difference in the end. Now, give me Bama, to tell you the truth. You give Saban a month, and he'll take every bit of a mile.
How and as euphoric as it's been for Georgia, look, back-to-back championships, first time since Herschel was there, first championships in a lot of people's lifetimes, but in the back of their minds, Bama still got their number. 1-4 in their last 5, 1-2. I mean, you beat Alabama for a championship, but still
can't be in the SEC championship.
Down, they still had your number, and you haven't lost in 3 years, and you still couldn't shake them. Is that not insane?
That's a fluke. The win was a fluke. That turned out to be the anomaly. Look at that. I'm using big words, Adam Jacobi. Mama B would be proud.
Some $5 Yankee words, huh?
Yeah. All right. So, Adam, who are you going with? Are you stay in Big Ten? Do you think Texas is back? Do you think Washington is going to get its first title since was it shared in 91? Is that right? Yeah. Was that Georgia Tech and Washington that shared it?
Colorado.
Yeah, that was Rick Newhouse.
Or Colorado.
Colorado and Colorado.
Yeah, there's Georgia Tech. Who did Georgia Tech? Was it UNC that they shared with? Tech? Because UNC was in that mix too. It was a weird time.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, I know they split, but who are you going with? Michael Penix Jr.? Is Steve Sarkisian going to get it done? Is Jim Harbaugh and the poor put upon Wolverines? Or is the devil?
Washington, specifically Penix and Washington's receivers, are outrageous because there are throws and catches that they make that seem absolutely unguardable. There are guys making catches when they're not open, and the throws aren't good. So if Washington can put it together, get a couple breaks to go their way, I think they might beat Texas in the semifinal. If they do, I think Washington's got a shot at Michigan. I don't think they've got a shot at Alabama. That sort of feels like the final step of this really is all set up for Nick Saban, isn't it? Like if he gets Penix in Washington with the national championship on the line, he doesn't have to play Texas. He doesn't have to play Georgia, doesn't have to play Michigan. Mm. Well, Michigan would have been the previous. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Washington. And what makes Alabama great and what makes them so dangerous, especially in these postseasons. Not only do they have that star power at the top, and they've got a lot of it, and now that Jalen Milroe is like finally putting it all together in terms of what his potential always was, yikes. But it's not just 1 through 5, it's 6 through 85. And Bama having at the bottom of its depth chart 4 stars and 5 stars and dudes who would be starting at 95% of any other program, even the ones in the SEC, that is where once you start to get in this third quarter, this fourth quarter, and some guys' legs start getting tired, their star players' legs start getting tired, and you start bringing in these 19-year-old 6'5", 330, runs a 4.6, is going to bite the center in half. You know, like Bama's got dudes on a level that nobody else has. It's dudes all the way down. It's not tortoises, it's dudes. And Washington does not have that. Washington's got that star power. They don't have the dudes for the third and fourth quarter. Texas is getting there. But in terms of like who I think is going to win, I think the most likely is Bama. Second most likely is Washington. Yeah, I think it honestly, I would just rate it through that 1 through 4. I think they're both going to be competitive games. None of them would really surprise me, which is kind of what you want out of a playoff, isn't it?
Yep.
And I wouldn't be saying that if FSU was in it.
Right.
But even though FSU, I think, really did earn it. But that's, again, personal opinion. But I'm going to say probably Bama. Yeah, okay, 1 through 4 if you switch Bama and Michigan. Okay, there we go.
And just to backtrack and throw shade at Louisville, they caught breaks all year with their schedule. You know, they didn't get Clemson in the regular season. And, you know, then you get Florida State without Jordan Travis and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, third stringer, they're limping into this ACC championship, and you can't knock that team out. So, you know, that's, again, testament to the conference and how weak it is. Exactly.
But Adam, I don't want to keep you. I know you got stuff going on. We're going to grill Carrie on Kentucky-centric stuff. So if you want to sign off, or if you wanted to stay and talk Kentucky stuff, you're more than welcome to. But I don't want to force you to talk Kentucky stuff. If you
there's a lot going on in the Iowa sports world, as we talked about. So I do have people waiting for me. But for anyone who wants to read more about what we're covering, at Go Iowa Awesome, it's iowa.rivals.com. We are the Iowa affiliate of the Rivals Network, powered by Yahoo. And we'd sure like to have all of you come read us. Iowa will be playing Tennessee in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
Let's go Hawkeyes all day.
Hawkeyes, please.
Yep. Oh, is there any bad blood between Kentucky and Tennessee? Is there any, like...
How much
have
time
I heard
you
anything
got?
about that? Just a little bit.
How much time you got?
You can't spell citrus without UT.
Right. Please go beat Bobby Hill.
But Adam, thank you so much. Mama B says, "Hey, you take it easy, and
give her all
we'll be
my
in contact."
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
Adam.
And one more thing about Heupel. He doesn't look like Bobby Hill. He looks like Bobby Moynihan from SNL. Like, look that dude up. It's incredible.
There you go.
It's scary. Anyway, gentlemen, Carrie, it's so good. I really appreciate every second you guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Adam. We'll be in contact.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right. Carrie Lewis, and to quote Kevin and her news, how are you feeling as a Kentucky fan? We beat Louisville. We got a bowl game coming up.
Man, I'm good. I'm real good. We are killing it in the portal right now. You know, the schedule just came out, so we got that. We're going to Austin November 24th, so start booking that trip now. But yeah, no, I am so tired of the negativity, so tired of it. And you know, maybe I'm the idiot for being excited and happy and whatever, but I don't care anymore. I don't, because you know what? It's giving me joy. And you ain't going, y'all negative people out there ain't going to take it. Y'all football thieves of joy are not going to take it.
7-5. I'm never going to turn up my nose at that.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Yes, did we throw in a couple of clunkers that we probably shouldn't have? Yes, but you know what? That's football. That's sports in general. It happens. But the fact that we could bounce back, and if nobody gave us a chance going in that Louisville game, the only Lee Corso picked us to beat Louisville on game day, right?
Yes.
Nobody else gave us a chance going into that Louisville game because of our past performances and the previous probably like 2 or 3 games or whatever. And we went down there and just destroyed them again. And there's just nothing better than that. And I'm sorry, I'm happy with the direction this is going. I'm happy that Stoops stayed. I think it would have been an absolute disaster if he would have gone to Texas A&M for him. But yeah, I mean, I think this football team is totally on the right track, and I'll take it all day long.
And like we're still, got a bowl game and all that, but like you mentioned with the schedule for next year, but we don't jump into a whole lot of recruiting, but you got a transfer that was a backup quarterback for Georgia coming in to be our quarterback, and Brock Vandegrift. You get this Chip Trayanum that was a backup running back at Ohio State. You get a wide receiver from Texas A&M, Cottrell. You get another Macklin. I'm still, this happens every year. These big name transfer. Will Levis from Penn State. The dudes from LSU, Darren Rosenthal. We're getting big time transfers from other schools that continue to come here. Like Adam said, it's all about the Jimmies and Joes. Our chances are much better with these Jimmies and Joes that we're continuing to get. Now, chemistry plays a role, but our chances are much better with these guys than if we weren't getting these guys. So I'm, credit to the staff for out there recruiting these guys and getting them to come and all that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me say this one thing, Terry, before you jump in here. This Texas A&M, if Stoops would have gone to Texas A&M, yeah, I think it would have been a disaster for him, but it would have been a disaster for us because guess who would have gone with him? Vince Marrow, because that's a package deal. And they've come out, Vince Marrow's come out and said that publicly before, that wherever Stoops goes, he's going. And guess who gets the players to come here? Guess who does that? That's Vince Marrow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with it. And the thing is, too, I've seen a lot of people make waves about not developing quarterbacks, right? But my whole thing is, look at these dudes winning the Heisman. They're all transferred. They all started out some other place. I think that Knicks guy might have played when we were in school. He might have come after Jason Campbell and between Cam Newton, right?
No, I think he was at Auburn like 2015 or something. No, seriously, that guy was at Auburn like early.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's just the state of how things are.
And with that being said, quarterbacks transfer. If it plays out, they're kind of getting stuff in place to start developing a quarterback. I mean, not saying it will, but you got the Cutter Bowley kid from Lexington that will come in, and if he sits for a year or two, it's kind of setting up to where you start to bring in your own guys and not have to rely on transfer. So they're working on that as well.
Well, and coaches, this portal thing, when it first started, I don't think coaches understood what it was or how to use it, right? Well, now we're 5 years into this portal business, and now coaches have figured out how to use this and utilize it to their advantage, and players have done the same thing. So I think it's really, I actually think Kentucky is better in the portal than they are in the high school, right? And you're always right. You're always going to lose. You're always going to lose guys in this portal. There were over 500 players that a record number in the portal, right? That's insane. So there's always going to be a little bit of player turnover, but I think you're going to get that back as we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And they've, to me, I'm trying to be biased. They've gotten them more than their bang for their buck as far as the returns. And you don't, like you said, guys always leave and hate to see it, but it's not like it's devastating. It's not like Chris Rodriguez transferred. It's not like, Deion Walker is leaving. It's guys that legit, enjoy their time at Kentucky, but know they might not get to play as much as they want to, may still play in a bowl game before they roll out. That's where they are. It's not like it's this animosity and this, I hate you, and it's like, hey man, I enjoyed it. Didn't beat out this dude that was ahead of me. I want to play. And okay, the whole thing with Keaton Wade's parents popping off, that's really the first little ripple of anything that I've really heard. And Keaton, I think, that's your brother. You got to go with him. But I think he's gonna kind of hurt himself to stick with his brother who wants to be a quarterback somewhere. But hey, if I'm a twin, I'm probably gonna roll with my twin brother too. I understand. But that's really the only kind of shade that was thrown that I know of on the way out from any of these guys that have left Kentucky in the portal.
Yeah, for sure. Terry, go ahead.
No, I agree. Like Vinny, Carrie and I, we text all the time about football, and Adam was just saying, Carrie, before he got on, talking about the whole Ferentz thing. It's like you want to be upset because the offense is terrible, but you've also won 10 games, so like, okay, and I think I sent you that clip. Like, I was the first team to get to 10 wins in college football history, Vinny, like averaging under 200 yards of offense a game. Like but it's just like, but you're winning. So it's like, okay, winning should be the ultimate goal. I've got a flow chart around here somewhere. If your team wins, that should be what you're all about, right? I think.
Yeah. In this day and age, for them to win like that, and we take 10 wins. I mean, any way we can get it in a 10-win regular season. That hadn't happened since what, 77? So we take it. If we won 3-2 10 times, we take it.
I would.
or 7-3 without a touchdown, which is still one of my favorite games ever. Because Vinny, we're trying to get Carrie here for an Iowa home game, so we can do the wave to the kids, because it's pretty awesome. It's a good atmosphere, and you have to walk through some rows of corn to get into Kinnick Stadium. So I'm gonna try to get her here to watch one of those games. It's fantastic.
Cool. That'd be cool. Sure would.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. I don't know. UK's got 8 home games on the schedule next season. That's crazy.
And you're going to Austin and possibly Iowa City.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think we talked about going to Austin. Why not? I mean, I've never been. I've heard it's good atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't do horns down. They'll put you out. They'll put you out of the stadium.
Right.
You know how some fan bases get when you use their hand gestures against them.
Little snippy.
It's the SEC. They're going to have to get used to whatever it's a little different coming into this league. Like they're just gonna have to. They want to be in here. Are they coming or not? And this is the SEC over here. In case they don't know.
If you do a gesture when you win, your opponent is going to do it when you lose. I don't understand the big deal about it, but we know how some folks get when you do the L's down. They get a little sensitive.
Well, they should win then, and we won't do it.
Yeah. There you go.
So, have you transitioned to basketball yet, Carrie? You still wait until after the bowl season?
No, I mean I have. I've been watching the game, so I've kind of transitioned. I'm not fully transitioned, and haven't fully put both feet in that basketball camp. I still got one foot because we got 3 weeks of bowls, plus the FCS playoffs are still going on, and so there's still a lot more football to be watched.
So there's 40 bowl games? You're going to get to 35 of them this year?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I try to watch all of them. They start on Saturday, and I really do. I try to watch every single one of them because I'm lucky when you work in academia, you get like 2 weeks off for holidays. So, what better way to pass the time than just to sit in my house and watch football?
Perfect.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to UK playing Clemson. I really am. I can't stand Dabo. I think he's one of the he's right up there for me with Brian Kelly. It's Brian Kelly and then Dabo, right? In my dislike of college football coaches. But I'm excited because Ray Davis said he's going to come. He wants to play. He's going to play. All these guys who would normally opt out, they're actually excited about this one. Mm-hmm. So I think we got a chance. I don't think Clemson's that good. I don't think that Cade Klubnik, that's their quarterback, right? I don't think he's that good. They got that one running back guy whose name I can't think of. He's a small dude. Shipley. Shipley. He's been there forever.
If Clemson loses, Tyler from where's Tyler from Greenville, Vinny, going to call in Spartanburg. Tyler from Spartanburg going to call in from Dabo, and Dabo's going to get mad again.
Tyler waiting. The expectation is exceeding appreciation and not all that, whatever.
Blah 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 blah.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that game.
Yeah, it's our fourth time playing them in the bowl. It's been a little while, but
I was at that Music City Bowl when we beat them when Tommy Tuberville was their coach, and I think that's the last time that we've played them. We played them. So
they beat us one in 09, I think.
Was that the Tommy? I'd have to look it up.
I think they won the Peach Bowl in '94 or whatever. The 14,
yes,
13,
I was at that game.
And they got us, and
fall on the ball, Marty.
You said I was going. I wasn't even going to bring it, but we all know what happened.
Fall on the ball, Marty. Come on.
Bless his heart that's followed him for 30 years, and he's won Super Bowls and everything, and still can't shake that. And then we got him in the Music City Bowl, like you said, down there in Nashville. I think we played him in 2 Music City Bowls. Because I think 09 is the last time we played him. Because I was looking at the other day.
Oh, did we lose that game? I thought we beat Tommy.
I think they got us in 09.
Okay.
The last time. But we're up. They're up 2-1 in bowls, but overall we lead the series like 8-5 or something. So for whatever that's worth. So I had some time and was digging around and trying to get a few little numbers. And I think they won 21-13 that last time down in Nashville. But that's all right. We'll even it up here in a couple weeks.
I'm excited about it too. I mean, Clemson is still a name, even though they're not quite what they were. I think for bowl games, this is what you want, right? You want both teams to kind of sort of want to be there. That's what separates the good bowl games from the I guess the bad bowl games. I think both teams will actually want to genuinely be there and play.
Yeah.
I think we may want it a little bit more. I'm not buying stock in Clemson. Dabo said I'm not gonna buy stock in Clemson. I think he's an angry little elf, and I think they're still salty that they're. He didn't embrace this NIL thing. He hasn't embraced that.
His choice.
His choice. But they're not that far removed from a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And, now you're playing in December 29th Bowl. So
they won the Peach Bowl in 93. We got them in 06 in the Music City Bowl, 28-20. And then they won in 09, Music City Bowl, 21-13. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I may have been at that 06 one. I don't remember.
I was definitely at the 06 one. And I was at the 07 one against Florida State when, oh my God, we're playing Florida State in the bowl game. And we're beating Florida State in the bowl game. So it was freezing down in Nashville that day, but it's all right. Saw Joker Phillips up in BB King's restaurant after the game, and dapped it up with Joker. And that was fun. That was cool. Fun time, man. Yeah, that's when we was, that's when he was the OC dialing up plays and coaching Leighton.
I stand by that hire. Like people bring that up all the time, but like in the real time, you have to roll the dice on that. I think that's just my 2 cents on that.
I mean,
'Cause he was
it made sense at the time. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it really did make sense at the time. It just didn't turn out well.
Yeah, didn't work
Yeah,
out.
yeah, he's a hot OC. If he goes anywhere else and blows up, it's like, how do you let that guy walk out the door? A
Yeah.
player that had worked his way up to coaching, you have
Mhm.
to give him a shot.
He's
I
from
thought-
here. He's one of us. You just
Yes.
can't let him go somewhere else and succeed. Yeah. And then, you know, he he breaks the Tennessee streak, you know, finally in
I was at that
2011.
game.
And as we're storming the field, I was like, y'all know this means another year Joker, right? And everybody's like, yeah. Oh well. Let's go storm this field.
You got to live in the moment, man. That's what college football is all about, man.
That was a cold game. That was the weekend after Thanksgiving. And that was so cold, and we did it with a wide receiver at quarterback,
Yes.
you know,
Roll,
and
man.
it was great.
And like you just knew sitting in the stands, you're like, we can't threaten them down the field if we want to, and we're still succeeding with this. Like, yeah, that was fun, man. That was fun. Oh, here we got our first comment, and Michelle giving
hi,
love to
Michelle.
Carrie.
Michelle, who consumes more BBN podcasts and radio than anybody else I know.
Right?
Absolutely.
She listens to everybody.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes, us and the locker and Memphis Spence and round the shots and everybody. Michelle's all over it.
Yeah, we got to get round the shots back rolling. Kevin's been slacking, man.
Uh-oh. I talked to your boy. And you, Carrie, you took a couple episodes off when I was watching that.
Yeah, I did. I just sometimes if I'm doing my 2 shows on Sunday, I just can't do a third show anymore. I just can't.
Okay, I understand.
And plus, there
coming
could be some yelling sometimes too. So.
Yeah,
And I got to break out my board.
I'm getting too old to do 3 shows anymore. There you go. Angry Kentucky fan. You're just angry. Best Halloween costume ever.
Got my guests. My Kate is popping in to say hello to everybody.
Hello, Vinny's Kate. Yeah, we're a very Kate-centric podcast here.
Kate-centric podcast. His Kate, your Kate. We're real Katie-centric.
My Kate's cooking my dinner because that's what I demand.
What's that? His cake? What?
See, his Kate's cooking his dinner. That's what he
Oh,
demands.
well, I brought Vinny dinner. I didn't cook it today.
I'm gonna say that real quiet because I'm down here in the basement.
I was gonna say you're in the basement, aren't you?
It's too cold to get put out now.
What do you say?
He said he was going to say it quietly that, Kate's cooking my dinner. But then
Right.
he says too cold now to get kicked out.
Right. Yeah.
That upper Midwest wind's pretty unforgiving. So.
Yeah.
She brought a little shawarma.
I brought in some chicken shawarma.
So,
You can't you can't be that like demanding person. Nobody likes that. It's not okay.
He be,
Okay.
He be talking there.
Yeah. She's in there cooking my dinner. Yeah. Mhm. Better have my plate on the table. Go on, cut my chicken for me too.
To be clear, that's not how I operate.
He said to be clear, that's not how I operate.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I know. We know each other. I'm aware.
There we go.
Hey, all I know, I haven't met your Kate, but I'm kind of a lot to stack up to. It's kind of a lot over here. It's a lot. Just saying.
Vinny said, "Get you a Kate," and that's what I did. So here I am in the middle of Iowa.
He said, get your Kate. He said,
That's it. We got to stick together.
That's right. That's right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Karen. That's great. Absolutely great.
22 years you've been putting up with me, man.
24.
24 all total. 22. Yeah. So bless her heart, y'all. Bless her
That's a
heart.
long time.
Yeah. Be 23 next August.
There we go.
Yeah.
But Carrie, what are you working on with Girls, Beers, and Sports?
Yeah.
Well, we just had our 400th episode.
400?
400, right? Yeah. And we're just working toward 500 now,
That's what
I'm
we
going to
doing.
be sad when college football's over because that's always my favorite time. But we always keep rolling with all kinds of different other things, fun stuff, and not necessarily all Kentucky all the time. I mean, we talk about it, but we're not necessarily Kentucky podcast. I like to talk about other sports and other things and that kind of stuff. But we just the train keeps rolling until I get tired of it.
How fast does this season fly by? Did it go by in warp speed for you this college football season?
Too fast. Yeah, it was way too fast. Yeah, it always is though. It just seems like they say that as you get older, time speeds up, and that's exactly what it feels like. And I don't know. I guess I also hate to see some of these traditions that are going by the wayside for college football. No more divisions in the SEC. Floyd of Rosedale is now being played in September or some nonsense, right? In October, when he should rightfully have his place in November. I think, but unfortunately, college football is a business, and TV and money rule everything.
Well, I sent you that link. You can buy your own Floyd of
No,
Rosedale.
I need to do that.
Vinny, that's the pig statue that Iowa and Minnesota play for. That's their trophy. Iowa has 4 trophy games: the Cy-Hawk with Iowa State, the Floyd of Rosedale. There's the bull statue that they play for with Wisconsin, and then there's some kind of corn thing with Nebraska. So they got 4. But there's a website that I stumbled across. You can order your own rivalry trophy.
Yeah,
the Floyd of Rosedale. Like it's pretty crazy for $100.
Wow.
Thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the second best trophy in all of sports.
Yes.
The Stanley Cup is the first best because you can do the Stanley Cup is versatile. You can drink out of it, you can eat out of it, you can baptize your child in it, you can do whatever, right? But Floyd's the second best for sure.
That's cool. You can buy one. That's good to know, man.
Absolutely.
Learning stuff on here.
But yeah, I'll be getting in that basketball camp here directly.
Yeah.
We're playing North Carolina on Saturday, so I don't know. I think this team is still in the learning stage.
Got to be. I mean, they haven't been together fully long. One game with one big, or or a game and a half, or so. Yeah, they're still in that transition period, and Bradshaw's still kind of getting his legs. And how does he play with them? How did they play with him? And
he looked good the other night, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Got to give it to him.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, they looked good against 10. They did. But yeah, I mean, we'll see because North Carolina is a pretty good team.
Yeah, we have something for them though, and glad to see Bradshaw. For old Baycott, who's been there for 38 years. So he was backing up Sam Perkins in year 3.
I'll be glad when these COVID years are over, man. Like Louisville just signed a quarterback that's like 25 years old. Bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you're like Tom Brady with these kids fresh out of high school. Like if you're mid-20s hanging out with 18-year-olds sounds miserable. That just sounds miserable to me.
It's always, speaking of, they announced that the dude was transferring and he says, I'm not transferring. That's the latest little, it's always something over there. And it's always embarrassing. Love KP, but to say he like trying to be transparent at the wrong times. You got what happened today. Then you got, I probably shouldn't be telling y'all this, but he didn't want to play until we had the right tights and some stockings for him. Why? Don't tell us that. Don't be honest about that. And then before the season starts, he talking about trying to say the red-white game. He said the blue-white game. I'm like, bro, you just keep tripping over yourself over there, man.
There needs to be a 30 for 30 on Louisville athletics for like the last 10 years. I mean, Heisman trophies, scandals upon scandals. Like, it's fascinating to me. that place is just comical at this point. But
Well, I almost didn't come on this show because I couldn't find my tights that I wanted. I can tell y'all that right now. It was close. It was close. Well, okay. Let me ask you all this then. So, obviously things are not going well over there for Kenny Payne, right? I mean, it's clear. Like Vinny said, he's hurt himself a little bit because I think he is trying to be too honest and transparent. But, let's say that he gets let go. Would you all want him to come back to UK? Would you welcome him back here? Do you think Cal would take him back? Because Cal has a tendency to get the island of misfit coaches on his bench sometimes, right?
Yeah, because he did that with Barbie, right? That
Yeah.
Was Barbie at Auburn, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. And he took Antigua back.
And Bruiser Flint.
Bruiser's been his boy from back in UMass days.
So I don't know. I don't know what would be next for Kenny Payne. To be honest with you, I don't know what would be next for Louisville. Like, I don't know if y'all interact with a lot of Louisville people. I do, and they got some wish lists for coaches, and I'm like, you're zero chance that happens. And I say that because, as we all know, nothing humbles a fan base more than a coaching search. Because in your mind, this is the Kentucky men's basketball job, and we got people saying no. Like, it's just a humbling thing. So you think you can, check off these names. I just don't see, like, Kelvin Sampson. Would Kelvin Sampson want to do that at this stage of his career?
Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich going to come back and coach together as co-coaches.
Or Shaka Smart. And I'm like, Shaka's doing what he's doing at Marquette, man. Like, somebody will take the job because the money will be there, right? But that's how you end up with who was the coach before Kenny Payne? Chris Mack. He said yes, but the problem is you can have one bad hire. Now you got two bad hires. Now that's how you end up with it, like Indiana basketball.
Yeah, there you go.
Or Nebraska football, where two bad hires. Now it's like, because now you get kids don't remember when your program was good.
Don't take long, boy.
And that's my hometown school. I grew up a Cardinal fan, right? But I'd be okay with them, becoming the new Indiana. I got no problem saying that.
They're on their way. On their way. So, congrats on 400 episodes, Carrie.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we love when you come on and talk about football and everything else like that.
Yeah, I love coming on this show because y'all like being the positive, and just discussion. We're just having discussion. We're not yelling. There's no arguing.
Life is too short to be negative. I always ask these people, like, how do you handle, like, sports? It's fun, but it really doesn't amount to a hill of beans. How do you handle real life disappointment? Like, when you say, like, something is unacceptable, what does that mean? Like, I don't understand it. Like, how do you survive? Like, if your spouse forgets to get green beans at the grocery store, this is unacceptable. Like, what does that mean? Like, I just don't get it. And stop giving me all these numbers. This is my old man. Uh-oh. Stop giving me all these numbers about why I can't enjoy something. I don't want to look at a shot chart to go back and look at the numbers on whether or not I should enjoy this game.
I don't care if we won. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
And the stuff doesn't make sense. Like, we all saw the Penn game, right? And everybody was on Twitter, Cal's going to stall ball. This sucks. And the lead went from 4 to 17 while we were playing stall ball. And I'm like, the math ain't mathing. Like, there's some things I just don't think can be universal because everybody complains Cal doesn't take timeouts, right? Have you all heard that? In the game, he never does, and we always lose. So, because I got bored one day, I looked. All 3 Aaron Harrison shots, we had timeouts left. Brandon Knight, we had timeouts left. Like, you can't be universal with this nonsense. Get out of my face with these calculators.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with football. It's like, Kentucky's we're going to the 8th straight bowl. That's the most in school history.
Yes.
I ain't gonna be mad about that. I'm just
No.
not. Right? I'm just not.
Exactly.
Like if you're not in the CFP, all the bowls are the same anymore. Like
Right?
I'm okay with it.
Yep.
Get me 7-5. If one of them is Louisville, I'm great. Go to a bowl game. I'm happy. That's how I see it. Anyway,
I'm with you, Terry. I'm with you. No more. These sports thieves of joy ain't taking mine. So that's all I'm
right.
saying.
Absolutely. We're on the same page. But Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. Always fun to talk about football and everything else. You have a great holiday season if we don't see you. And, Carrie was in the band, Vinny, and we got a band player here in our family. So tip our hat to the band, folks.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. I always love talking to you all. It's so much fun, and happy holidays. And I hope you all have a great Christmas, and go Cats, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Carrie.
Appreciate
Bye.
Carrie.
All right. Hell's down on the way out. I love it.
That's how you finish.
Well, I sent you that clip of Spencer Hall, who covers college basketball or college football. It was on Bomani's show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to it because they're talking about the CFP and everything. And then I think they go from Texas to Texas A&M, and I'm like, uh-oh. And he's like, Mark Stoops. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm expecting this side swipe. But like that clip that they've actually put out, and I've been retweeting it, was basically like, Stoops has got a good thing going. He's like, nobody's expecting you to beat Florida or not Georgia or Alabama, right? You might have a disappointing season, but here comes 9-2, 10-1 Louisville. You can beat the brakes off them. Everybody feels good.
Yeah.
He's like, it's great because you got horses and bourbon, and it's fantastic. Stoops is great. I was like, this is what the national media thinks of you. Yes, you won a Heisman Trophy. Yes, you've been to the BCS Bowls, but this is what they think about you. You're the feel-good story for Kentucky season. This is what they think about you.
That's right. That's right.
Big Bad Louisville is just something to make Kentucky fans feel good when we have a disappointing season. That's how they view you.
Yeah, that's that is. That's the reality of it right there, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but we got to talk about Otani making money. That's a lot of money, man.
Is he making it, or is he redistributing it, or what are we?
I'm tired of people pretending like they are tax lawyers and accountants and understand how this works, man. Well, if he defers it, then look, you don't know how this, like, you know, one, it's not your money. Two,
but
if he's only making $2 million a year, whatever, I don't care, not my money.
That's true.
Three, the team you root for could probably pay that kind of money as well. Owners don't want to do it because they don't want to. They make look, man. We see this every time somebody signs. It's like, oh, the Dodgers. Like, no, the Reds could pay for that money. Maybe not $700 million, but they could pay more than they're paying.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's what he want to do, that's fine. But I'm just like, man, why are you trying to work for peanuts? Just because you pitch and hit. Now, he's not pitching this year, I don't think, because he had surgery or whatever. But, bruh, I was texting with Roy about it. Roy Wood. He's like, man, it's crazy. If they can do it, then okay, But
wait a minute, you texted Roy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I'm the other guy when I go to meet him. I'm the you Vinny friend, you the other guy. Yeah, I'm the other guy. Okay, all right. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Vinny said you become an other guy.
Got the boss man.
Okay, cool. I mean, I like how you slid that in. Yeah, okay.
I got it. Well, I think he gave me the number when I'm DM'd him on Twitter about coming on the show the first time way back, and then I just had the man's number ever since.
All
What's
right,
up?
cool.
Got boss man Ben Sutterth, who is a Tar Heel, by the way, who likes that other shade of blue. So we'll be on opposite sides of stuff Saturday, Ben. But yeah, we'll see you on Atlanta Saturday. You and them Tar Heels. But yeah,
Look, it ain't my money, so I ain't too worried about it.
But I'm just like the Yankees probably like, why didn't we think of that? Because them when they're and look, baseball don't have a salary cap, so anybody can do it. And it's just if you're a small market team, like you just kind of like Florida State, you just got to deal with. That's how it is. Pirates, Royals, Reds.
Life ain't fair, my friends. But
but they got the last 3 MVPs on there: Freddie Freeman, Shohei, and Mookie Betts. All 1, 2, 3 in that batting order. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it now: they still ain't gonna win title. Maybe I'm just being petty and hating.
You are hating. You are hating, Atlanta guy.
They ain't gonna win a title. But I'm gonna stand by it.
All right.
Congratulations to him, and he gets to make the playoffs now since he's not with the Angels, so he's gonna have that for him.
And RIP to the tungsten arm O'Doyle tweet.
That's right, man.
Very, very sad about that. But something you're not sad about is the Cowboys, man.
Hey,
all right, baby.
Yeah, we'll take it.
I love it, man. I love it.
10-3, and hopefully we get another shot at those Niners.
Okay, baby. I love it.
That was fun. Sunday was fun. It was one of those comfortable games.
Yeah.
The little fumble they got, the scoop and score. You're like, oh, okay, let's see, and then went right back out and went to picking up first downs and putting it on them again. So, yeah.
And the thing about the Eagles, I can't remember where somebody was talking about. They act like they can just turn it on, turn it off when they want to. I'm like, y'all just went to one Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it for this group, right? Like, where's this we can turn on we want to vibe coming from?
They lost to the Jets this year. They barely beat the Commanders both times by 3 and 5. They're not just obliterating everybody like they did last year.
And I can understand it if my Niners were like that because, like I've been saying to you for the last couple seasons, hey, we can have a healthy quarterback. We're going at least to the championship game.
Yeah, that's what y'all been doing.
And so I'm excited. I hope that our teams meet in the playoffs and we can take care of business again.
Yes.
Dallas is becoming the Utah to Kentucky men's basketball in the 90s.
See, that's not where you want to be.
Beat them AT&T, beat them in Levi's, beat them in the preseason, beat them in the postseason, beat them here, there, beat them everywhere. Yeah. I enjoy that. Yeah. I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's we tired of being Van Horn and Majerus to y'all. We can't keep that going. Oh, and real quick, man, Draymond, man, what in the world? Suspended indefinitely. Talking about it. And this been happening. I mean, we was kicking Steven Adams in the junk 6-7 years ago, and it was an accident then. And
I'm surprised that no one's come after him yet. Like that's my whole thing is somebody got to put hands on Draymond. And it's not happening with the Warriors.
No,
he sucker punched a dude, and they sent that dude away.
And yeah, and he was like, if Steve Kerr was like, we really can't win without him. That was they sided with him. He caved in Jordan Poole's face, and they sided with him and said, you got to go to the Wizards. You got to go. Hey,
I don't get it, man. But I'm just surprised nobody's put their hands on him yet.
Yeah, it's a weird deal, man. So now we, suspended and got to meet protocols and this and that, and and they was winning last night, and that changed the game in the wrong way for them.
And that's the thing is, if he wasn't like this, he gave up a championship.
Yeah.
with all his kicking and all this kind of stuff, and poked the bear with LeBron, and we saw what happened.
Mm-hmm. It's just been a track record, man.
Yeah, he's a repeat offender.
Crazy. Well, we'll be repeat podcasters. We'll do this next week. We'll talk about Kentucky and North Carolina and have a few bowl games rolling. Lewis will be watching that bowl. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right. I missed the bowl week jingle.
Yeah. So
bring that back.
All that kind of stuff, man. And your Lakers will get a new banner to put up in the.
No, I honestly think the NBA is like, look, man, y'all can't poo-poo this. We got to pretend this means something. I mean, that's just my two. Like whether or not, because I refuse to believe that Jeannie Buss, who had Western Conference trophies, which I had forgotten you actually get a trophy for winning the conference.
Yeah,
completely blew my mind. Oh yeah.
That's how meaningless it is for the Lakers. So maybe that did happen, man. Maybe it did.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. And then embedded in this article I was reading, it was the 2009 Western Conference trophy presentation. And of course it was Kobe, but none of the Lakers looked like they wanted to be there. And they were like, here's the trophy. And everybody's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But remember, 2008 is when they lost in the finals to the Celtics and got obliterated in Game 6. So they was only about it for the one thing. So, yeah, I refuse to believe that anybody associated with Lakers like, let's put this up. I believe the NBA is like, you got to do something.
It's just at least act excited.
Because my thing is, well, the Lakers, I got to pretend to win something. Bro, what are you talking about? Like, the Lakers ain't going to do nothing because everything with the NBA has a Laker on it because he's the logo. What are you talking about?
True.
We got to put a banner up there to have something. Have you heard of Wilt Chamberlain? Like, what are we doing here? Have you heard of what? Yes, you are right, random person. The Lakers have to do something to be relevant. You're correct.
Exactly.
You're right.
Yeah. On that note, man, we'll put a bow on another show. Thanks to Adam Jacobi, Carrie Lewis. Supposed to have our guy next week, Clayton Truder. He sent us his new book.
Yeah.
The Big East, Tino, and Calhoun, and Gary Williams. So we'll talk about his book. Have Clayton on, friend of the show, author, just cranking out books now. So look forward to that and whatever else between now and then, man. TV, y'all be safe, stay warm as possible. And you and Kate and the young fella up there, y'all have a good week.
You do the same with your family, man. Always good. We'll do it again.
See everybody next week. Another episode of Cast Talk Wednesday on the BS3 Network. We'll talk to y'all next week, man.